Okay, now we're live.
We're on
Hey,
the
everybody.
internet live right now.
It's my turn to talk. I talk first, then you.
Please do.
Hi, welcome back to another live stream from Reckless Deck. My name is Clark Huggins. I'm your host and the creator of Reckless Deck, and I have a very excellent guest with us this evening. Her name is Zuzanna Szadkowski. Aside from being a very old friend of mine and grad school classmate, she is a phenomenal actor who has done quite a few really interesting things on TV, including 6 seasons. Was it 6 seasons on Gossip Girl?
6, yeah.
Right on. 6 seasons on Gossip Girl, The Gilded Age, and The Nick, which was also HBO, right? With
Yeah,
Clive
the Nick, it was Cinemax, which is same thing basically.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And wrote a play, right? Co-wrote a play that
Mhm.
Evan produced. Was that just last year?
Yeah, it was the beginning of this year. Yeah, January, February, and
now you're rehearsing something else with Bedlam as well, right?
that's right. I'm rehearsing Arcadia, the Tom Stoppard play. So I just got to work on that project. That'll open at the end of the month. So,
Which is fantastic. I'm extremely envious. That's such a beautiful play and one of my most favorite pieces of theater. So
yeah, everybody's saying it's their favorite play. So I hope all
it's
those
really gorgeous and like
plays
really, it's really beautiful and very, very heartbreaking. So so there's that. So you have that to look forward to.
Right.
Didn't mean to spoil it for anybody.
Yeah, it's got a lot of complicated themes too, which I feel like this idea of making how one makes art is like been like at the front of my mind. So I feel like it's appropriate that we're doing this together today.
Yeah, no, this is a really fun way to make art, which we'll get to momentarily. But before that, let's talk about you.
Yes. First of all, congratulations on being one of the only people in the world who knows how to pronounce my name. So that's always a good start.
A long time ago, I worked it into my vocal warm-ups daily. So I say it most every day.
Right. The image your tongue twister. Mm-hmm.
How was the strike for you, the actor strike? Did it touch you at all, or was it awful?
Yeah, I mean, it's still happening right now for us. I mean, I'm glad that the writers' strike has kind of, reached a good conclusion. And then the actors, we're still out here trying to get the same end, which is hopefully there'll be an end in sight. But it does affect me. I mean, I happen to be doing a play right now, which is great, but this kind of lapse in the television and film making process is always scary. So I wasn't on a particular project when the strike started, so I'm not striking from any particular show immediately, but the idea of this shift in the whole landscape is, I mean, it's scary but also necessary. So I'm really hoping that, I mean, it's like a whole new era, so we need a new reality to match that.
A new thing. Do you think that likely theater projects for the summer were like super, like, not that they're not already really coveted, but were they even more prized because there was no like film work or TV work to do?
I mean, that's possibly true. I think, I feel like the strike is so damaging to so many, people. I mean, there's so many people out of work and struggling because of it. But, if there's an aspect that is a little bit more positive, I feel like theater was in such a hole because of COVID, so the audiences haven't really come back yet in the same way. So even though theater is back up and running for a while now, it just doesn't feel like the same energy in NYC as far as like, audiences like really planning on, their Friday, Saturday nights to come to the theater. So
man, wow.
Now maybe that'll shift because there's like an excitement in the air about plays, off Broadway is popping and hopping right now. So I think it is. I mean, it's definitely, there's some cool projects right now. I have tickets to see a lot of things. I just saw my dear friend, who's also your friend, Andrew Rannells, in Gutenberg on Broadway, which was
it was
exciting. So he's back on Broadway too. So it's like, some cool theater stuff, some closer to home.
That's great.
Yeah.
So do you feel like you're happy? I mean, obviously, yes, but like, what does it feel like to know that you have this little, I mean, you've done a number of projects with Bedlam at this point.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to have like a little, like, kind of niche for yourself that you feel like, okay, well, I know fairly certain I'm going to be able to do a project here? And how does that compare with like just kind of kicking around New York from project to project?
Yeah, totally. It's like it's rare to have like a theatrical home, and I feel like I kind of found one with Bedlam. So it's a repertory company, kind of. I mean, it's not officially, but I mean, I'm definitely a member of the company there. So I've done a lot of plays with them, and like one of the best side effects for me is the fact that it's like the company and Eric, who was the sort of artistic director and who directs all of the plays, has taken some chances on me, like given me roles that I would not normally play. Like I got to be King Lear, like the king. I played that part. And I played Captain Hook, and I played Yelena in Vanya, Uncle Vanya, and Juliet and Romeo and Juliet. So he kind of, because of our working relationship, I get a chance to do like the quality of work and the kind of roles that I get to tackle, I think sometimes are surprising. And so I got lucky in that regard. And also he took a chance on me as a playwright. So the fact that
Right, yeah, which is so amazing.
I know my co-playwright Deb Knox and I, she was also in grad school with us. We wrote this play, and then the fact that he took it seriously and workshopped it and put up and made a production off Broadway in New York City is pretty wild. So I'm super lucky to have found that home. And I think having collaborators, it's tremendous to have an outlet where you can go and just really feel like you're digging into the work and being challenged and kind of surprising yourself left and right. And I feel like that's the environment there. So I love it. And this Arcadia thing is like one of the hardest plays I've done, I think, in a long time. This British sensibility and so much language. And so I'm really it's a challenge that was daunting at first, but now I'm starting to get into it.
How far back
a week
does
of rehearsal.
the time shift? How far back does it go? Does it go to
It's
the 1800s, or does it go like the 30s?
1809 and then contemporary day. So I mean, the contemporary day when Stoppard wrote it was the 90s, but we're setting it. I mean,
It was 1809. Really goes way back. So that's like, does that even count as Victorian at that point? Is it pre-Victorian?
Regency era, I guess, is what it's literally referred to. But yeah, it's, I mean, there's these kind of themes of like sort of time folding in on itself, and like everything being cyclical, or in the play it's referred to as iteration. So this idea that this sort of similar relationships pop up in the characters in the modern day story, so it has this feeling of, it's 1809 in current day, but you have the feeling that this play could and does exist in like every parallel time, from the time that this basically this house, this estate in England was came to be. And as long as the humans are on Earth, we'll be telling this like same story over and over again. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting from the play, which is really cool.
You, having done like a number of period things,
right?
Well, do you feel like there is each one different for you, or do you feel like you have like a place in your head that you go to when you're doing like X time period, where the shifts are the same, or is it always different for you?
It's funny because like I've done two things in my career a lot. Like one is Eastern European, like because I'm Polish, so it's like I've played a lot of Polish Eastern European characters. And the other thing is I've done a lot of like period stuff, which usually has been around the turn of the around 1900 or so. That was kind of where the other TV projects that I worked on lived. So I guess those two things kind of become a niche kind of wash thing. So I guess that's the danger, actually, is just kind of playing that feeling and not getting specific about it. So it's like I'm comfortable enough in both because I've done them professionally. So it feels like, I have some experience that I can kind of lean on. But I also think every time it's like you have to get so get nitty gritty and like get real with it. Otherwise it becomes like a caricature of itself. So just because it's 1900, it's not like old timey stuff. You still have to be a human being and find how they lived and rolled around in those times. But in Arcadia specifically, I'm in the modern world, so I'm not even in the 1809. It's like half of the cast is in 1809, half of them. So I'm in the modern world, but it still feels like a reach because he's a Brit, Stoppard, and it's such a British play. And so that in itself feels like, you know, it's kind of a different world to explore. But I don't know, for me, the period stuff has always been like, it gets me really excited about, you know, about the world building, or I mean, a world that was built, I guess, was real. But, you know, for example, working on the Gilded Age, it was like the feeling of, you know, walking around the streets of New York and thinking about people wearing those skirts and dragging them through the muck, you know, and like
For
just
real.
like actually walking around the streets of my neighborhood and looking, like I live right next to a street called Skirmerhorn, which was like one of the big families during that time period, you know, and Joralemon, and on Livingston, and this whole, I live in Brooklyn Heights, and it's like all the streets are named after the land that was, you know, of these families that were big Gilded Age families in New York City. And so I think about these people, and that this was just their, like, you know, they were hanging out here and they were like real living, breathing people. So I think the kind of living history aspect of you know, touching that world and then kind of looking around modern day where, like, on the spot where it happened is really fascinating to me. It's part of why I like traveling too. And, you know, I think especially when you go to Europe and stuff and you get that in spades because everything is so much older. So, yeah.
That is like the perfect segue
Right.
into what we're doing.
Exactly.
I could say stuff about that and comment on that, but it's not going to be, it's going to be less interesting than what you did. And it's just going to keep us from like making, getting to actually the story.
Yeah.
So let's do the story because we're doing Victorian, right? We're doing Victorian era stuff.
Right.
Because which I normally give anybody that does this with me, like kind of a blank check to be like, you pick the world, you do the thing. And this time I was a little bit like, how would you like to do Victorian era stuff? Because I thought you would really like dig it and think that it was really cool and really
definitely
get that vibe a lot.
Yeah.
And it is an area that the card system goes to that we haven't had a chance to like really do yet.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of wanted to like actually set an appointment to get to explore this area of, you know, like world building and fiction. So for anybody watching that doesn't know what we're talking about, like you said, Katie Rose said before we did this, our friend Katie Rose was like, are you playing Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
On YouTube? Not exactly. Not exactly. Though you can play your Dungeons.
We could, you know, we could always
which
do
I
that.
fully encourage you to do.
I've never done that before.
I really wanted, it was either Victorian era stuff or something with a lot of elves, because I know you're really into that.
Yeah. Anything that lives in like a hovel in the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just looked it up because I wanted to see exactly what it spanned. I guess 1837 to 1901 was Queen Victoria.
Right. Yeah. So that was whatever they called before Victorian.
Yeah.
I don't know, which was not, you said, the Regency era is what you call it?
Regency was I mean, that's what they refer to the dress and the fashion of the time. So I assume that's 1809. So that would be whoever was before her. And then, 1901. So that's kind of like, you know, where the Gilded Age, right where that, you know, sort of picked up and took off there. It's like, when was Jack the Ripper? I want to see that.
1880s.
Yeah. So that's like, I think I mentioned this to you that I went, so last fall I went to see a play in London. So we were in London for a week. 1880s. So we were in London for a week with my boyfriend. And we had, you know, we were tourists basically. We saw the play, did the thing we were there to do, and then we wanted to like have a structure for our tourism. So we decided to just see all the spots where Jack the Ripper did his crimes. so we kind of did the Jack the Ripper thing, which is not that interesting because like there's nothing left in any of those spots, but it has like, it's a fun way to like sort of chart your course through neighborhoods that are not
super fun,
really
right?
trafficked by tourists. Yeah, so it was interesting, and we like got super into it and went to like a sad little, you know, Jack the Ripper museum that, you know, ripped us off. But it was fun. So yeah, I love that stuff. Perfect.
So the first Reckless Deck series you're probably more familiar with are all prompts that I made as an illustrator that were to create characters based on their look. Basically, it's like iconic visual call outs to help you build a character really from the outside first, or the outside in. What we're doing right now is the psyche system, which is really the flip of that. It's much more inside out, starting with your character's mind and what happened to them and why they are the way they are, building outwards from there. And the reason why I say this is because I actually found a way to work original Reckless Deck into our prompt choices for this for the first time, ever.
Genius.
So this is the part where I'm going to switch the camera view, right? Or at least my camera view, so that anybody watching can see the card choices. Okay, there's 4 categories that apply to any character in fiction. They're universal to any kind of character. And then there were 4 that are very specific to the time and place.
Okay.
We're going to start with one that is specific to the time and place, and then we're gonna leave that for a little bit, and we're gonna work on the universal categories. The first ones are your occupations. This is what they do with, like, for a job or for a living. And your first option is telegraph operator.
Okay.
Or corseteer.
What's that? Making corsets?
Making corsets.
Okay.
Or an heiress.
Interesting.
Or a pickpocket.
Mm-hmm.
Or a courtesan.
Let's see here. So I'm picking now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so
now call me tomorrow. Just, here's a bunch of cards. Just call us tomorrow and let us know what you decided.
I don't know if you were laying out the whole. Okay, so courtesan, no, I don't want that, because I've played a courtesan in a Shakespeare play, and it got under my skin. Just the word courtesan. I'm not feeling that. A telegraph operator, I'm not interested in that either. That sounds too technical. Pickpocket, all I can see is, got to pick a pocket or two. So I don't want to do that one either.
Okay.
So down to heiress and corseteer. I actually feel like I would say heiress, but maybe it feels a little been there, done that. So maybe like corseteer, because it's like, what the hell is that? What life does that person have?
Okay.
Let's try that. That sounds fascinating.
Very good. So now, like I said, we're going to move into stuff that is more universal.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm having a card sorting drama, but
you would think you would have that down. That's like
no, I actually really don't, and I didn't do one of these last week because
you have to go to Vegas and get
that would be a really great use of my time. I think I should totally do that.
That would be.
All right. Next category is strengths. The strengths of your corseteer, in terms of their personal qualities, or the things that they lead with in their life that they rely on and that actually like pay off for them and get them where they want to go.
Okay.
So we have improvisational.
Mm-hmm.
We have independent.
Mm-hmm.
Or optimistic.
Okay.
Or insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Insightful meaning they can look into a person or a situation and see something that others are not seeing.
I got you. I think improvisational, no. Independent, no. Just kind of those things I think everyone has some aspect of. Optimistic is just like, I feel like I'm a little more interested in things that are less sunny. So let's toss that. And I think insightful is interesting, because I feel like people in the field of sort of creating something that is for another human, I think, tend to be thought of as insightful. I mean, like having to, I'm thinking of hairdressers, but it's like,
but that's so right on. And I love the idea that like we've really already put her in a place where she is somebody that functions to make things for others. That's just a neat way to already kind of have squared ourselves with her. I'm assuming her, right?
Yeah, her. Why not?
Right? Yeah.
Let's do her.
So we found her strength that we're gonna lean on. These are her flaws. She could be tactless.
Hmm.
She could be derisive. She could be erratic, meaning she's unpredictable or inconsistent in how she is in her decision making or how she presents herself, or envious.
Interesting. These are all really good. I feel like derisive and tactless are a little bit similar. I mean, they one kind of implies the other. I think erratic it would be unusual for someone in this field, because I think that there's something you have to be so detail oriented and have a certain reserve to be able to work in this way.
Okay.
So I'm actually kind of interested in envious. Like, what if it's how envy and what's our second one?
Insightful?
Insightfulness bump up against each other. I think that could be interesting.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
So your next one is a category called given circumstances.
Okay.
And it is basically
actor talk.
Very, very actor talk. Hey,
Yeah.
I learned a thing or two when we went to school.
Then.
And because look at me now. We're here on YouTube, at the top of the field. But the thing about given circumstances is they're a quality of our character's life, and it could be circumstantial in terms of like their environment,
right?
Their society around them. It could be something about their health or physicality. It could be something about their mental state. Right. It could be something about their skill set. Is kind of how within this system how I've defined given circumstances.
Right.
And sometimes those things are pluses, sometimes they're minuses, and sometimes they're just facts. They just are what they are.
Right.
So she speaks one or more foreign languages. Mm-hmm. She is a skilled equestrian or horse master.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, it is the 19th century, a lot more horses going on back then.
Right.
Necrophobic, has a fear of death and dead things.
Oh, interesting.
Lastly, has a deep unrequited love for someone in their life.
Oh, I think the languages thing, not so much. I feel like that's like
that's just your everyday life.
Right. It's too close to home. I speak Polish and English. That's it. Okay. Equestrian, or I don't, I'm not a big horse person. Horses are big and scary to me. So let's toss that one.
Okay.
I think that the fear of dead things, I think that kind of cuts us off from 50% of, there's, maybe we like dead things. I don't know. So let's get
really, like, there's a lot more dead stuff happening in the Victorian era. So
right. So I think it's good. I think that having a deep unrequited love for someone is great, because that's I think everyone can identify with that to some degree at some point in their life. Yeah.
And so what about this? Normally I do this beforehand, but I thought it would be cooler to do this after we know a little bit more about our character, and it's their motivation. What are they after? What is the thing that they want the most over the course of this journey? Mm-hmm. One is to amass the best collection. To be recognized as the best at what they do. Mm-hmm. To repay a debt. To experience extreme pleasures or sensations. Or to find the ideal romantic partner.
I'm really drawn in this case to the experiencing of extreme pleasures of or sensations. I feel like that's a winner, because it almost any of the others can kind of live inside of that one in a way. It's like if you really want something, then getting it would feel awfully good. So I like that one.
That is so cool. I haven't actually done a lot of work with that one yet. It's a lot of options in this system. It's like a big card system. So right. That is going to be really, really fun.
Okay, cool.
All right. So we know that
we rub on that card. I can't tell.
I'm sorry?
I can't tell from here. What's on that card, that picture?
Well, it's really just like an abstract design.
Like it kind of looks like a sea animal.
It kind of is like, it's like vaguely a sea animal.
Gotcha.
Kind of, yeah. It's, I think there definitely are. I actually made these designs myself, and I think that I definitely stole sea animal stuff and collaged it together for that one.
Great.
So we have 3 more categories to go, and they're very specific to like the Victorian thing.
Okay.
So this is really, we know a lot about our character, and I think the next 3 are where we're going to find out more about our character's story.
Okay.
We'll start with secrets.
Mm.
I'm actually going to, rather than make a giant pig pile of cards, I'm going to move these over.
Okay.
Is often startled awake by the touch of cold hands on their face while sleeping, but wake to find they're alone in the room.
Wow.
Has a brand on their body from their time in a crime syndicate. Right, straight out of your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is like, it's from my diary.
Is involved in the burgeoning black market industry of boudoir daguerreotype photography.
What does that mean?
Basically, it means like really early porn.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
like
I know boudoir.
very, very like old timey daguerre, like those like brown sepia tone
Oh, sure.
photograph thing, but like kind of like whatever the version of that they did that would be like Victorian porn kind of.
Okay.
Is involved with a salon where the patrons are drugged for the purpose of extracting valuable information or gossip.
Mm.
Or they believe they know the identity of Jack the Ripper.
Oh, I think I have to go with that one.
Okay. All right.
Just because I've already brought up Jack the Ripper today. That's too crazy.
I wonder too, like, I don't think that discounts any of the others. Do you feel like we want to go for like another? Do you have another one that we can have also?
Yeah, the other one that I kind of like is this startled awake in the night.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming.
I did not see that coming at all.
Really?
All right. So they think they know who Jack the Ripper might be, and they're also having these like private freakouts at night.
Yeah, which could indicate a lot of personal guilt and angst and other secrets, right?
Or ghosts or creepy stuff. It could be legit as well.
Yes.
The next category is formative events. Something in their life that happened in their past that had a really strong impact on who they are in the present day.
Okay.
Fell down a well as a child and had to tread water all night until rescue the next morning.
Wow.
Suffered an injury that ended their prior career.
Okay.
Had a passionate affair with someone years ago who has now become their fiercest rival. A wealthy benefactor changed their circumstances and rescued them from certain financial ruin. I don't know if you could hear that, but apparently there's a drag race going on outside my window.
Oh, no, I didn't hear it. That's really like not Victorian of them.
No, not at all. Last one. Met a captivating stranger at a social engagement one night, but has since not been able to find them or learn more about them.
Let me think here. So we have a passionate affair. I feel like passionate affair or captivating stranger are interesting. But I think that this rivalry is a little off. Well, although we have envy, I think we're envious, so that might be it. I think this passionate affair in the past is interesting.
Okay, the one with the fierce rival.
Yes. I mean, I feel like it doesn't have to be a corseting rival. It could be a rival.
The cutthroat world of corseteering.
Yeah, of course, the tearing rival, it could be a rival in the streets, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very West Side Story.
I know.
Okay, so last one is inciting incident, which
Okay.
is the event that occurs to our character that set them on the journey of their story. So it's kind of like what has just happened or what is happening right now that is kind of kicking things off.
Okay.
Okay. Is being coerced into delivering illegal goods for a criminal at great personal risk for themselves.
Mhm.
Believes they are the next target of the cloaked gentleman murderer currently at large in the city.
Oh, interesting, because I think they know who Jack the Ripper is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Attends a seance that takes a terrifying turn when the medium relays a disturbing message for them.
Mhm.
Or, lastly, their former partner from the criminal past has returned.
Okay. I think I'm going to stick with this cloaked gentleman.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
we're doubling down on the cloaked gentleman.
Yes, I think the other, like the criminal underworld's like too complicated for me.
Okay.
I think this idea of being
So you are the first recipient of a bonus prompt, which is from original Reckless Deck, and I have 4 objects
okay.
that we're going to try to work in.
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
First one is keys,
Mm,
tarot cards or playing cards,
right.
a blindfold,
Hmm.
or, and this, I didn't plan this, a corset.
I feel like a corset we might already have one. I mean,
We've
just
covered
we don't pick
covered
the
that
corset.
base.
Huh?
We've covered that base. We've covered the corset.
Yeah, I
base.
don't think yeah. I think keys. I think keys are interesting in this.
All right,
one.
great. All right, so
Yeah.
now we're going to try to find a way to make something out of keys.
Wild.
Okay, those are all of our prompts. I'm in the process of writing them down on our board.
Crazy.
As you can see, I haven't gotten that far. Oh, unrequited
This
love.
is a genius idea, because like how, this idea of creating in this way, it's like so, it's like, it reminds me of Mondrian, like that, the idea of saying like, here are these sort of parameters I work in, like, lines and in this, here's my sort of graph landscape. And inside of that, it's like ultimate freedom. It's like in an unrestricted space, it's like paralyzing and it's too much.
Yes,
But kind of setting ideas for yourself in this way, it's like really fantastically freeing. Yeah. It's like the thing.
I'm so psyched that you're psyched about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting to wake at night, right? Or cold hands. We'll say cold hands at night.
Cold hands at night. Okay.
And also identity of Jack the Ripper, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Has an idea.
Okay. And then we also said passionate affair, fierce rival.
Mm-hmm.
Look, gentlemen, what should we say about that? Like target is next target.
Yeah. Feels like a potential next target. Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm just going to do this to remind us of our object.
Okay.
I also went to art school, in case you didn't know.
What's that top line say? I can't read the next.
Corseteer.
Corseteer. Oh, yeah.
Insightful and envious.
Okay, gotcha.
So now that I think that's all of the cards that we picked, right? That's all the information that we touched upon. Yes, that's everything. So
okay, great.
now,
Mm-hmm.
what immediately is connecting?
I mean, immediately for me, you have it's a corseteer, so I feel like there are fancy people coming in and out.
Okay.
And the idea that this person knows who Jack the Ripper is or has an idea, I feel like a link there is somehow being exposed to a society and having that insightfulness about people to have made this guess, right? And so
Okay.
if Jack the Ripper is if somehow the corseteer has has led on or been a little bit reckless in some way, and now the fear is that potential guilty party is aware and like coming for her.
Okay. So like he knows that she knows.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, he knows that she knows or has an idea. And
You ever see Zodiac, that David Fincher movie?
yes.
That for some reason that what you just said reminds me of Zodiac a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, this idea of the I feel like the insightfulness, it's like somehow being in that world and being able to sort of read people or understand them in a different way has like led to something here, but also this sort of being haunted in the night by these cold hands, like, is that, does that portend of like this coming, this danger from this guy, or is this unrelated? I don't know.
Yeah, it really is up to you about how like if you want to lean into like paranormal stuff,
Right.
If you want it to become, get into that Victorian ghostly turn of the screw kind of thing, or if you want to keep it very grounded in terms of, high society meets like back alley crime kind of thing.
It's like unrequited love to me. It's like almost, maybe that has something to do with the ghostly situation, because it's like, what if the unrequited love, the fact that there's a rival, did it say that the unrequited lover became the rival? No, it just resulted in
that. You could say that, like you could definitely say that is.
Yeah, I actually feel like the unrequited lover might, I don't know. I'm thinking like if unrequited love means that the person is dead and somehow coming in the night
with the cold hands thing.
with the cold hands, or the rival. I don't know. I'm trying to crack that. I think that there's something about that.
Yeah, I feel like you could connect either one.
Yeah. And then but then so extreme pleasures, it's like that's what you want. So it's like
that's just so funny to me that like her want, like her need is just so straightforward. And she's like, all I want to do is like it's like have a good time.
Like what's have some
champagne, all this bullshit to deal with.
I mean, unless, it's like we could take it a step further and, she could wait, what's the one about the gentleman? How's that one phrased?
Oh, she believes that she believes they are the next target of the cloaked gentleman murderer currently at large in the city.
Yeah, I was gonna say that kind of doesn't fit, but it's like I was like, if she were Jack the Ripper.
Oh, okay, all right.
Then she would be seeking extreme pleasures because it's like, ripping.
She's got this like kind of like cosmic level hole in herself to fill.
Yeah.
Where she's like normal stuff, like, I go out to dinner, I like see a good movie or whatever, and none of it's doing it for me. Like I feel like I'm always like empty inside. And so I'm gonna go do some really, really fucked up stuff to try and
right. Or it's like, or Jack, I'm here. Okay. I'm going crazy now, but if Jack the Ripper was, whoever is Jack the Ripper is her rival because of an unrequited love, but she, she's a rival murderer. So even though she's a corseteer, but she's a rival murderer.
Oh my God. Okay.
So
this took a turn.
Yeah. So if Jack, so somehow there's unrequited love that results in Jack the Ripper being her rival, but but they're rivals because they're both murdering. So murdering is her seeking of great pleasure. So he knows that she knows him and he's after her, but maybe she's after him too. And the fact that she's, it's like if unrequited love resulted in Jack the Ripper, so it's like she had a lover who was taken by him, maybe, and that's what turned her to murdering.
Oh, okay, all right.
And then that person comes to her in the night and like, haunts her. That old love. Are you following what I'm saying? I don't know.
I think so. I'm gonna try to like sum it up in a second.
You're gonna have to sum this up for me. And it's like, I think that, because she's in the field that she's in, it's like she's so it's like she's insightful enough to I think that maybe that's how she finds her victims. It's like, it may be that her love was taken by Jack the Ripper, and then she became a sort of knee-jerk murderer because of that, and finds her, she reads something, she's kind of looking for someone with similar characteristics to her ex-lover to kill, or and then she's insightful with her clients, so it's like she's always reading them to find her next person or something. I don't know, I'm a little lost on that one.
It sounds to me like it would be very cool if her lost love that was a Jack the Ripper victim.
Yes.
If that was like really early on in like the Jack the Ripper.
Yes, like maybe one that we don't know about.
Okay, okay. Real early. I tell you, I'm nailing it real early. So what you're saying is like she was like inspired to like, or driven to do this herself. She's like, you took something from me, I'm going to take something from the universe. I'm going to work out my grief on that canvas.
I think so.
And so do you feel like how do they like dance around each other?
I don't know. It's really complicated when we over here. I think that it's like, I think that
I really think that that Jack the Ripper has a relationship. Do they think that they have a daytime relationship as well in terms of the corseteer business?
Yeah, like maybe that's a good idea.
Like that part of society, that it's not just like a sort of gaslight thing that happens, at night, that they actually have a
that they have some kind of working relationship,
or that he's like a client or
yes, I like that. If he's a client and she's very insightful, so she kind of like felt him out. She knew, she drew him to her business.
Here's something interesting.
That
I just thought of, is that if she is sort of catering to him,
right,
while it almost presents an opportunity for a murder mystery to be solved by another murderer. Okay. Sorry, I really blew that. I feel let's take that again. Where she loses somebody, she's driven to kill as a result of that.
Right.
Then this like debonair kind of like cloaked gentleman comes in, repeat client, always having some like women's clothing made or something like that. Right. And she starts to be like, I got a feeling about this guy.
Yes.
And she starts to solve the murder mystery, solve the identity of Jack the Ripper, solve the murder of her first unrequited love, all the while being a murderer now herself.
Yes, I love it.
Like you don't often like your protagonist is also one of the worst possible people.
Yeah.
But like they're gonna Nancy Drew it up in this situation.
Yeah, and all she wants is love. She wants that pleasure that she felt that one time. She's been seeking it via murder. She's been, in grief over it. That's all she wants. Yeah. So so she felt, she sniffed him out. She's insightful. And because he's her client. Great, great. Unrequited love is how she got to where she is. So I think and I think at night it's like those, she's haunted, I think, by that first love comes to her, and it's like, stop doing this, and she's like, yeah, no, I love you so much.
No, I'm on fire.
I'm on fire here. It's like, this is good.
So we are we're gonna lean full into paranormal, right, with the cold hands at night.
Yes.
And this is sort of like the voice of,
her first, it's like her first love, who kind of, it's almost like that voice could be the voice that's telling her, like, he knows who you are.
No way. So it almost becomes like this, almost like the scene partner kind of, where she gets to work out her stuff with this apparition of the lost love.
Yeah. And if the apparition is kind of warning her that, she's getting too close to him, because she's figuring out these murder mysteries, and he's kind of getting the scent of it, and she better be careful.
It's almost like he is a tether to normal life and sanity, and like not going down the road of like full on criminal, though it's a little bit late for that, it sounds like.
Right.
Like a tether to having a conscience.
Yes.
And also is sort of like her, how much do you want this? Maybe this is something that you would work out if you're actually writing the story, but how much do you want this apparition to like actually sit down and chat with her and like sort of like, drill down? Or do you think that he just sort of like floats in and is spooky and then floats out again?
I think, I feel like I like the idea of it being at night, that's when the apparition comes in, like in sleep, that it's,
so it's more of like a dreamland experience as opposed to like.
Right. Or just like, it comes to her bedside at night, so I don't think it's like following her around at work and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it stays in this place of like, because they were lovers, it's like, it comes to the bedside. So like it's the cold hands. It's like, it's like what would be a touch of love, but it can't be because it's from death.
That was lovely. I love like
Poetry.
Never. I don't know. Can never be that thing again. I don't know exactly how to say that in shorthand on the whiteboard, but like never.
Never.
No, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm not even done. We know where we're going with that. The idea that the cold hands are this kind of like it's like, what's that expression when something is really just like a hollow version of the thing that you want it to be?
Yes. I don't know, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like a hollow version of the thing you wanted. Yeah, it makes sense. It's like a ghost echo of something that once was different.
I like that. Finally, you can help me finish this line. Ghost echo.
Yeah.
So we got this key.
Yes.
Right. This all came together real fast.
Right.
We've got this key here. And do you feel like, I feel like in the forget what I think. What do you think?
I don't know. It's like, it's like she has the key, it's like kind of some, metaphorically she has the key, but the key, like a physical key to what, I'm not sure. If there is, it's part of the solving of the murder mysteries, the key to a particular door that can, or it's something that, she locks herself in somewhere. I don't know. How important do you think it is that it be a practical key?
None whatsoever. It could absolutely be a metaphorical key in the idea of it being like the missing piece of a puzzle, or it could be a clue that turns out to be like the linchpin to solving a thing.
Yeah. I like it as a clue. I feel like it's nice as a clue. Because she's dealing with clothing, it's like, she could find a key. I mean, if she could be holding on to a key that she got off of him,
Oh, okay. So the key actually can function as a physical key. That, maybe it is something that she got off of him. Maybe she can go on a little like drama to explore his little like murder hideout or something, or his home, like his brownstone or wherever his. Did they have apartments then? Did they call them apartments? Like his home?
I think they call them flats. Yeah, I think they have
his flat, wherever that is, where she could try and like break in, snoop around.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I don't know if that's too like hack though.
Yeah, but like one of the things that I've found in doing this is like I think that if it is, then let it be that for a while, and either you will find a way to craft it into something that is your personal version of that thing, or you will leave it there as a placeholder and come up with a better idea later.
Gotcha.
But better than just like leave it there and let it be than judging it before it even like gets out there in the world.
That makes sense.
But I think it might be interesting if she can find out some like real like juicy stuff about him.
Yeah.
If she's able to like break in here.
Yeah, I like that.
How much do you think she looks at herself and what she's become as she solves this murder? Like, is she good with it, or does she start to wobble in terms of her commitment to this version of herself that she has become?
Right. I think that that's probably one of the bigger conflicts. I think it's like that those visits, those nightly visits, are what is sort of making her remember, who she was, and, setting up a crisis of conscience or this feeling of danger. Because like if she's like become this person and she's chasing down this road and now it's going to get turned around on her, that there's some danger from Jack the Ripper onto her, then I think it would be like like a time of self-reflection.
If you have a free second to actually think about that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, I think there's something about, it's like initially if she was interested in like somebody else is murdering around here, and it was like a sense of rivalry, and that drew her to like kind of cracking the murder mystery. But as, the deeper she goes, the more she's starting to get haunted at night by this old love and this feeling of like, a lost warmth or like a lost hope or something, that it's like, I guess if she's doing all of this, she just wants to get back to that feeling. And then this person is trying to reach out to her so much to sort of wake her up, then, we start to heed that.
Yeah. Is there a redemption arc possible for her?
Yeah.
Like how far does she take this? Like, how big is her body count before she like there's no coming back from that?
Right. I think maybe it's like, if she becomes she becomes the person who stops the Jack the Ripper, it's like, what is she gonna go turn around and start murdering again herself? So it's like almost like catching him, it's like she's catching herself out or something.
Totally. I love that there is this like total it's almost like that snake eating its own tail kind of thing, where like like you think that normally people who go and solve crimes or solve murders have a certain moral high ground that they're standing on, where they're gonna
Right.
I'm gonna stop the crime.
Yeah.
Crime is bad. I'm gonna find out who's doing this crime. And then she's like, the whole while she's like, I'm gonna go do some crime, and then I'm gonna come back and find out who's doing that other crime over there, and I'm gonna get him. There's not really a lot of
Yeah, and if it kind of, I mean, yeah, if it begins from a place of envy, then it's like that's a whole different kind of motivation.
Oh, well done. Yes, we come back to this about like, oh, he's really good at that. Like he really, he's really
Yeah. Amazing.
And I think that I love that there is this ability to question herself in the middle of what could be like a very tense thriller, of like her trying to get him before he gets her.
Right.
So there is very much a sense of pressure on it, and like it's not like she has all the time in the world.
Yeah. The stakes are high because like now she's potentially in trouble, and she's got to get him before he gets her.
It's not like, gee, I'm gonna give this a lot of thought while I drive across the country and listen to like my audiobook.
Right. Yeah, and not to be too poetic about it, but she's got to get him before he gets her, and she has to be worth somebody. She has to be worthy of saving herself, basically.
Or you as the author could decide to really take it like to a very dark place in the end and have her try to basically like claim the throne in a way, just like,
right,
she could get to the end of it and be like, no, I'm good with this.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's really possible too. Yeah, so it's like, I think she might right. It's like if she realizes too that like she catches him, and then it's like this lover doesn't, it's still just a cold hand and in a passing dreamscape, and she doesn't have anything she ever wanted, and she's like, God damn it, I'm gonna go out there and get some more of that pleasure.
Yeah.
Get to killing. Yeah.
Or double down.
Yeah.
Amazing. I feel like we really rocketed right through that. That was turns out you're good at this. Who'd have thought?
Well, it's so cool because like you create, it's like by choosing without, I mean, I tried not to think too much big picture when I was making the choices to kind of give myself more, you know what I mean? Like, when you were laying out the cards, like connecting things a little bit because I know what I had picked before, but not concerning myself too much about it, right?
Right.
So that what's nice then is that you're creating problems for yourself, like logical, this list you put down here, it like has some inherent things that bump up against each other and are potentially problematic. So then it's like, as you're developing your story, you're problem solving rather than just like creating from scratch.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool way to work because it kind of, it's like, I feel like you came up with this, thing. It's beyond a cure for writer's block, but it's like it's like a whole way of like reframing, because like inevitably you're going to end up telling the stories that are interesting to you and all the stuff that you kind of already have percolating, but it's helping you to frame it and bring it to the surface,
Yeah, yes, because like you said, when you have free reign over everything, it's just this like abyss that is like it's kind of like staring into the sun. You can't really like, there's nothing to grab onto. But when you give yourself some parameters and you sort of box yourself in, you can then box yourself back out again.
Right. Yeah, I feel like problem solving is it's like such a inherently creative mindset to be in, that it's like that kind of just setting that up for yourself out of the gate is like really exciting, I like that. I'm like, I think you packed everything for me in terms of
Well, also there's something about it, and I don't know like the right psychology behind this, but I've felt that like working with these card sets for a while now, I feel like there's something that really alleviates the pressure of it being genius.
Right.
When it's problem solving, you're just really like, it becomes much more like workman-like, and you're just like, all I need to do is like solve this problem.
Yes.
And it really like takes away a lot of the pressure of like, is this brilliant? Is this the greatest thing that's ever been
Right.
written? Like, is this good enough? You're
Yeah.
just not really thinking in those terms anymore. You're just like, does this work? Like, is
Right.
this a functional
Yeah.
answer?
Really helpful, I think. Yeah, because it's so paralyzing to just be like, I gotta come up with some kind of masterwork here.
Yeah, that's the worst. It's
I feel like that's paralyzing to every artist of every medium, whoever tried to do anything. Yeah.
absolutely. And the weird thing is it happens to every one of us. But
Yeah.
yet when it happens, it feels so personal. It feels
I know.
like it's just me. Everybody
Yeah.
else is like brilliant and
Right.
just like turning out like, you know, masterpiece after masterpiece. And I'm the one who's like jammed up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. And it's like, I think it's also funny because it's a good way to collaborate with another person too. Cause like, you're like, you're not just like nursing something in your little mind and then trying to, put it into the ring with somebody else. But like, if you actually are doing this, you could probably do this with like multiple parties and it wouldn't become contentious. You know what I mean? It's just a good way of rethinking, also reframing a character. Because I think, as an actor, it's like, obviously these things are inspired by, the given circumstances and these kind of other, psychological issue, aspects that you're bringing forth in this set of cards. It's like, as an actor, it's like you're constantly finding a way to sort of get out of your own way, right? So it's like, let me stop trying to make something that feels like an end product and let me get in there and dig around with like what's truthful, right? So finding, identifying what given circumstances are, identifying how people, what actors are, what actions you need to take in order to get what you want in a given scene or whatever. It's like the reason we have all that language and all that kind of way of framing our work as actors is like, to take that pressure of kind of creating an end product away, because that'll always be hollow, right? And it's not, you're never going to hit it the way that, it's better to work like in this way where you're building something real. So yeah, it's like really, really relevant to me too in that way.
Well, I think you really, once you decided that she was a killer too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
which is like kind of crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous. And it's also like not really in there, but that's the other thing too, is like, as you're kind of doing it and then you come up with that and then it starts piecing in, then you're like, okay, that's cool because that's unique to this particular story. Yeah.
And it's something I've never seen that before. It's not like, oh, I saw this thing on Netflix last night, so I'm gonna like kind of just do my own version of it.
Yeah.
Like that is weird. That is a very new, not seen that before. Like a killer is trying to solve the crimes of another killer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, trying really hard not to look in the mirror for too long, because
that's great. I love it.
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, that is cool. That is
really
cool.
and this is the part where I usually make everybody say TM, TM, TM. You have to like trademark it on the spot. You gotta claim it. So
My killer. Yeah, I just listened to some podcast about an author who came from the world of fan fiction, like was a fan fiction writer, and then wrote some kind of thing that is now commercially huge, and that it's this like weird tragedy that this person created for themselves because they can no longer go back to like their home place of fan fiction, because like it's like, I guess people who have like copyrighted or trademarked property, intellectual property, are encouraged to never look at any of that stuff, because you could get yourself in trouble creatively, because you're like, if you come up with something that somebody else thought up, it's so wild, like how ideas exist in the world, and we have to have it's like, what is an original idea?
Oh, absolutely, sure. And one of the other things that I feel like I've learned in making these decks is that the idea is not as valuable as we think it is. It's much more about the execution of the idea. And that's like ideas are sort of like, it gets to the point where you're just like idea, and what you do with it and how you take it to like the end of the line is really where that's what really matters.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Because it's like, I don't know anything at all about music, but I understand that like there's only so many notes, It's like, and but it's like what how you express yourself in terms of like whatever particular concoction is yours, so it's like that's kind of like that here. You've created a bunch of notes and then
Right, yeah.
stick them together.
And then you stick them together. Yeah, and I said this to I think one of my first guests, who was a comic book illustrator friend of mine named Koi Pham. It's like this is much more like Lego almost, where you're just like sticking things onto other things and seeing what you can make out of it.
Yeah, which is super satisfying.
This was so super fun. I hope you had fun. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I really had fun. I was like, I wasn't sure what to expect in terms of like the prompt, like, I mean, what the cards would say and where they would take us, but it's really cool. And I think that it's nice because like the Victorian specific cards, it's like, they live in that world, but they weren't like limiting, because I feel like there's a, you can get stuck in a vibe too, but I feel like you can kind of take that prompt and like fly with it. So yeah, it was really fun and exciting. And like, I do love that we came up with some murder stuff. That's my favorite.
Where can people find you? Like if people want to actually like see more of your stuff, or probably my Instagram, how do people
find my you? Instagram probably is where I put everything that I do. So it's my Zuzanna Wanda is my Instagram handle. So ZUZANNA WANDA. So that's where I announce any projects I may have, and any I'm always attempting to write things too, and percolate and stuff like that too. And I'll be having this play, of course. And
so, and if people want to see Arcadia, where can they get tickets?
Yeah, it's like, bedlam.org.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so it's all over my Instagram. So yeah.
Okay, right on. And if you like and subscribe this thing, I love doing these live streams. It's so fun. Zuzanna, I hope you come back, because this is awesome.
I would love to.
Please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel. And you can find Reckless Deck on Instagram at Reckless Deck. So we'll try again next Tuesday night. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Zuzanna, thank you so much. It was so fun to do this with you. And we'll be back next week. Bye everybody.